This week we've been looking a lot at God's process of transforming us into the person He designed us to be, transforming us to be like Jesus Christ. And a couple of verses we've tapped on, but we haven't looked at closely, are Philippians 2:12 and 13. And I want to take today and tomorrow, and I want to take one verse each day and really hit those. And those two verses say, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling." And then verse 13 says, "For it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill His good purpose." So we've got our part in verse 12 and God's part in verse 13. And today I want to hit on verse 12 and our part. And our part really comes down to one major word, and that word is obedience. Obeying what we know we're supposed to do. And today's question is, what's that supposed to look like? What does obedience mean? And for a lot of us, for a lot of Christians, the Bible is divided into two types of commands for two types of obedience, and we tend to pick one or the other. One thing a lot of Christians really like are the don't commands. Don't commit adultery, don't murder, don't steal, don't lie, don't. And we have all these lists of don'ts, and we're really good at not doing the don'ts. But there's a whole nother set of commands that I call the do commands, and those are do love your neighbor as yourself, do honor your father and your mother, do the positive things. And I'm afraid an awful lot of times we've got do Christians and don't Christians, and the don't Christians don't like to do the things they're supposed to do. They just want to not do the things they're not supposed to do. And the do Christians, they're all about doing the things they're supposed to do, but they don't want to be restrained by the don'ts, the things they're not supposed to do. And the problem is, it takes both to stay in line. If you're only doing the things you're supposed to do and not doing the things you're not supposed to do, you're going to fall out of line with God. But you have to do the do's and don't do the don'ts. And that's how you line yourself up with God. And that's how you stay in a position where He can transform you. So make sure you're doing the do's and not doing the don'ts. And let yourself be used by God and let Him transform you. And that's today's Jumpstart. If you like today's Jumpstart, why don't you share it with a friend or maybe like it? And of course, make sure you subscribe so you stay updated on all that's going on.